And Rowan August, the last one. Going in. And they're off. Let Seamus Go is very quick out of the gate and opens up a couple. Travail on the outside, Ghost Coast in between, and down at the rails, Sir Nano is racing in fourth. Then Supreme Coast, 4 off the pace in fifth, followed by Better Be Lucky, and Rowan August is at the back of the field. They move by the stands and Let Seamus Go and Jose Valdivia Jr. cruising along through the first quarter mile, with Ghost Coast in second. They're followed by Sir Nano third, and Travail is in fourth, 4 lengths off the lead. It's another length and a half behind them to Supreme Coast. Better Be Lucky inside of him, and Rowan August continues at the back. They move on to the backstretch, and Let Seamus Go has been allowed to set a leisurely tempo in front by a length over Ghost Coast. Down at the rail, Sir Nano still third. A gap of 4 back to Travail. Supreme Coast is next, while 3 deep, Rowan August, and down at the rail, Better Be Lucky. They have a half-mile left to go, and Let Seamus Go to catch. Maintains a length and a half lead on Ghost Coast. Sir Nano asks for more. Rowan August advancing in between horses. He's now racing a joint fourth as they move around the far turn, where Let Seamus Go 3/4 of a length advantage. Ghost Coast set down now in second. They are followed by Rowan August, Sir Nano. Travail made a brief bid. 2 behind them to Supreme Coast, and Better Be Lucky was never in it. They're at the top of the lane. Let Seamus Go is asked to finish the job and spurts clear by 5. Ghost Coast still holding second. Center of the course, Travail trying to get a minor piece. He's behind Rowan August. Lights out. Let Seamus Go humbled the competition. Strolling in by 6. Second to Ghost Coast. Photo third, Travail, Rowan August. Blue Fashion, the last one to load. And they're off. Cypress Moon and Chasing Cat are the first 2 out of the gate. Matina in the orange colors now joins them 3 deep, with Mayakama in fourth. Then Blue Fashion, 7 lengths off the lead, and 3 clear of Elton Sings Another. They come to the half-mile pole, and it's Matina on the outside up to take the lead. Chasing Cat is back to second, 3 clear of Cypress Moon third. Then Mayakama, 6 off the pace in fourth. Another 2 to Blue Fashion, and Elton Sings Another. 3 furlongs out, it's Matina blazing the way, chased intently by Chasing Cat, who's closing the gap now ominously. And here's Chasing Cat hugging the rail and going by Matina with a 1/4 mile to go. Elton Sings Another is revving up while extremely wide. She has to deal with Matina, who drifted extremely wide too. Mayakama coming through on the inside of Cypress Moon. They're a furlong from the finish, and it's Chasing Cat with a 3-length lead. Mayakama, Cypress Moon head and head, second and third. Coming past the 16th pole, Mayakama now lengthening stride. And here's Mayakama coming after Chasing Cat. Mayakama runs down Chasing Cat in the shadow of the wire. Cypress Moon third, Blue Fashion finished fourth. And they're off. Tiergarten gets the first call, immediately headed by Madero Wine. So Madero Wine sprints clear, and her stablemate Valkyrian moves into second. Tiergarten settles in third. Zerat, after bobbling at the start, is in fourth. Then Big Mama Sue and Highlands. Around the clubhouse turn, and it's Madero Wine leading by a length and a half. Valkyrian is in second, with Tiergarten getting a nice trip just behind the top pair third. Zerat is in fourth, 5 lengths off the lead. Then Highlands and the big favorite, Big Mama Sue. Onto the backstretch, chasing Madero Wine, who has the lead by a length. with Valkyrian cruising along in second. At the rail, Tiergarten holds her spot third and Zyrat fourth. Highlands is next. Big Mama Sue is last, but only 4.5 or so off the lead. Into the far turn, Madeira Wine and Valkyrian 1-2 the whole way. At the rail, Tiergarten still third. Another 2 lengths to Zyrat. Highlands is next, and now Big Mama Sue is being ridden along. The favorite is last and ridden 6 lengths off the lead with 1/4 mile to go. Madeira Wine and Valkyrian turn for home 1-2. Valkyrian right up alongside of Madeira Wine with a furlong left to go. Kimura angles Tiergarten out. Outside of her, Highlands, and then Big Mama Sue. Here's Highlands down the center of the course, storming after Valkyrian and Madeira Wine. Highlands, Valkyrian, Madeira Wine. It will be Highlands. And Ricky Gonzalez wrapped up to score. Valkyrian, Madeira Wine, and Tiergarten. Of Freedom is next. Infamous Angel. They're off. General Jackson is ridden for early speed. Winds of Freedom comes to engage immediately. And here's Toughness now kicking through smartly. And Toughness goes on alongside Distant Fleet. Those two now 1-2. And Winds of Freedom, who broke well, is now 2 off the pace in third. They're followed by Infamous Angel with 5 to come. Down at the rail, Panuco, General Jackson, and Heber is the trailer. Into the far turn, and it's the favorite Toughness in command. Opens up 3. Distant Fleet second by the same margin. Then Winds of Freedom in third, and Panuco is down at the rail, inching a little bit closer fourth. Followed by Infamous Angel, General Jackson, and Heber is far back. They pass the quarter pole and turn for home. Toughness in front, has a 3-length lead. Winds of Freedom is chasing. At the rail, Panuco is getting involved late. Inside the 8th pole, Toughness, Winds of Freedom, Panuco are 1, 2, 3. At the 16th pole, Toughness is far too good. And Toughness making short work of the competition. Handridden by Juan Hernandez to score by 4. Panuco a good second. Then it was Winds of Freedom and General Jackson. Nell's Legacy, and here's Hera's Hope. We're in the gate, and they're off. Nell's Legacy is very fast away from the gate. Cayucos in between horses, and Lava Lucy is quicker than both. And here's Lava Lucy flashing that sharp early zip to take command. Cayucos is now in second, with Nell's Legacy moving over to the rail, 3.5 off the pace in third. Hera's Hope is fourth, followed by Press Your Luck. Behind them, Chili Philly, and another 4 to stretch running, Miso Fancy. Edwin Maldonado and Lava Lucy take him into the far turn. Leading it by a length over Cayucos in second. Cayucos now within a half length and pressuring the front runner. Pressure Luck is in third, and Nell's Legacy fourth. Then Hera's Hope, Chili Philly, and 2 more to Me So Fancy, who's just looking for a place to start rolling. They're at the top of the stretch, and Lava Lucy goes on, chased by Cayucos, who's 3 back second. Pressure Luck angles to the center of the course and is finishing very nicely. Here's Press Your Luck in the center of the race course, and from far back, Me So Fancy. Me So Fancy erupting from dead last will blow by them all. Pressure Luck was second. Tight photo, very close. Lava Lucy or Chili Philly. They're in the gate. And they're off. Seismic Beauty began beautifully, Shared Future alongside, and Epione just behind the top pair. Jubilant Joni is next, and Quick Brown Fox is at the back of the field. Juan Hernandez and Seismic Beauty, the favorites, setting the pace. Leads it now, opening up to be in front by 2 lengths. Epione is in second. Jubilant Joni third. Quick Brown Fox inches up alongside her, and that leaves Shared Future at the back of the field. They swing on to the backstretch, and Seismic Beauty is the one to catch coming to the 5/8 pole, doing it easily. A length and a half in front of Epione second. Jubilant Joni 5 or 6 off the pace in third. And Quick Brown Fox is outside of her, 4 lengths clear of Shared Future. Half mile left to go. Everything's gone Seismic Beauty's way. She's in front by 2 lengths, 2.5 now on Epione. Jubilant Joni third. Quick Brown Fox has to pick it up now fourth. As Seismic Beauty starts to widen around the far turn, she's in front by 4 lengths now. As Jubilant Joni moves into second, Quick Brown Fox is 3 deep on the outside of Epione. A quarter of a mile to go, and Seismic Beauty is all alone. Seismic Beauty with an 8-length lead at the top of the stretch. Jubilant Joni, Quick Brown Fox, Shared Future. So horse race. Seismic Beauty is going to win by the length of the stretch. She's in front by a dozen as Shared Future moves into second. Seismic Beauty completely outclasses the field. Trots in by 10. Shared Future, Jubilant Joni, and Epione. Girl. In. All set. And they're off and pushing this like a rocket ship right out of the gate on top. Ma Ray's Girl comes away in second. They're followed by Vida Lara in between horses, and down at the rail, Tahini. Granny Budgie is next, right next to Visually, who's 6 lengths off the lead, and Royal Charter just in front of her. It's Reese in the favorite, pushiness, cruising along past the half-mile pole. In front by 2 lengths over Vida Lara in second. Then Tahini at the rail, and Ma Ray's Girl, 4.5 off the pace. Another 3 back to Granny Budgie, followed by Royal Charter, and Visually is last. Midway on the far turn, it's been all pushiness, widening at will. 4-length lead as Tahini moves up inside Vida Lara. Behind that pair, Ma Ray's Girl, Granny Budgie, Visually at the rail, Royal Charter Yellow far outside, a furlong out for pushiness. Tahini is racing in second. Visually is finishing with interest on the inside of Granny Budgie, 16th pole. Pushiness, 4-length lead. Granny Budgie is coming fast. Here comes Granny Budgie after pushiness, and Granny Budgie mowed her down. Pushing it second, Visually, and Royal Charter. Santa Anita Mule, made with Kettle One vodka. Family made. Enjoy responsibly. In the gate. And they're off, and Crown Magic pretty much dwelt at the start. Nauvoo, Mother's Prayer vying for the lead, Aurelian Man and Druidic make it 4 right across the track into the first turn. Here's Kingmeister just behind this group, moving up to be a joint 4th. A gap of 3, Zimba Warrior races on the inside of JB Books. That pair followed by a 3-wide Fly the Sky. Racing outside is Upstart Yankee, and another 4 to slow starting Crown Magic. They move on to the backstretch behind Nauvoo. Nauvoo leads it by a length. Mother's Prayer is in second, a length and a half to Aurelian Man in the outside third. Kingmeister steadily advancing in 4th. It's a gap of 3.5 lengths to the next flight. Druidic JB Books are right next to one another. That pair followed by Fly the Sky. Another length and a half comes Upstart Yankee. Zimba Warrior is down second to last, and a good 15 or so, maybe a little less, but way out of it. And another 4 back to Crown Magic. Around the far turn, and Navu's loose. Navu 3-length lead. King Meister in pursuit second. Another 4 lengths back comes JB Books taking third along the inside. Then comes Mother's Prayer, who's dropping out of it. Down at the rails, Zimba Warrior still with plenty of work to do. Making some headway now, though. They're at the top of the stretch, and it's Navu with a 3.5 length lead. King Meister continues, and on the outside, here's JB Books, center of the racetrack, Zimba Warrior. These are the 4. King Meister in between horses takes the lead. He's been traveling kindly throughout, and King Meister and Kazushi Kimura will win it by 2.5. Zimba Warrior ended up getting up for second. Then it was JB Books in a battle with Navu. And they're off. Last Call Paul is very quick, but he's headed immediately by Flyover. And Flyover sprints clear by 2. High King takes second. Last Call Paul down at the rail. Lord Dunmore moves up to claim the 3rd spot. And Curlin Command is outside of that pair, 4 lengths off the lead. Oakley's Smile is next, followed by Incredible Moves. And Irish Element is far behind. Less than a half-mile to go, and it's Flyover in charge. Has it by 2 lengths. High King second. Lord Dunmore is down on the inside. Curlin Command 4th. Last Call Paul 5 off the pace in 5th. Oakley's Smile is down at the rail, 4 lengths clear of Incredible Moves and Irish Element. They're coming to the quarter pole, and Flyover continues to cruise along on the front end, 3-length advantage. Curlin Command takes up the chase, as does Lord Dunmore with the white blinkers. They're in the final furlong, and Flyover has a 3-length lead, still full of run, chased intently by Curlin Command into second. Lord Dunmore back to third. It will be Flyover. Flyover gives Juan Hernandez his 4th, and he is flying through the stretch to win it by almost 4 lengths. Curlin Command second in front of Lord Dunmore. High King was 4th, and Oakley's Smile completes the super high 5.
Word filtered around the racetrack yesterday late afternoon that Professor Gordon Jones, who you're looking at a recent picture of, passed away, unfortunately, at the age of 95. Those of you who have been in California, Southern California, for a long time might remember Gordon Jones as being one of the prominent turf riders in a newspaper called the Herald Examiner. I moved to Los Angeles in 1986, and that was my must-read every single morning. Alan Malamud was part of that publication, so was Gordon Jones. The Herald Examiner, for racing fans, was far superior to the Los Angeles Times, which, of course, had a much larger subscription base. Gordon Jones touched many people, including myself. He was friends with Al Michaels. Yes, that Al Michaels from Monday Night Football. He had many seminars around Southern California. He attended the Northern California fairs on a regular basis. He spent considerable time in Las Vegas, and he was a student of the game. He wanted to pass that knowledge on to other students of the game, and so his passing certainly leaves a void within the newspaper and publishing and handicapping community. Our condolences to his daughter, Joanne, who you might recall was a prominent member of XBTV.com, as well as his other members of his family, and of course, his many fans around the country. Hi, everybody. My name is Tom Quigley, VIP Player Concierge, your host of the seminar for the next 40 minutes or so, and I'm sitting next to a veteran horse player, not quite 95 years old yet, but he knew Gordon Jones. His name, David Nance. David, happy Saturday. Welcome to the seminar.
Always good to be here, Tommy.
Always sad news to see someone leave us behind.
Really
and of
sad.
course, you knew the prof.
I did, actually.
You attended his seminar.
I sure did. I had a front row seat every time. It was like I was number one. I was like his number one fan. Yeah, no, he was a guy before his time. He really understood numbers. He loved
the pick six.
Loved the pick six. He kind of started that. The way it was over and under, kind of playing different kind of tickets where, he'd have a single and always have a protection. And, he kind of was a visionary, certainly in the game, being able to project horses coming off of routes, coming back to sprints.
He was a numbers guy.
He was a numbers guy, and he was really intelligent, and he had a great personality, and it's really sad that he's gone.
Even guys like Julio Canani, famous trainer Julio Canani, would attend the seminar, sit in the back row, eat all the donuts, not pay his way in, right? I mean, there was always a bunch of characters.
Julio was always there, and then he'd always ask for his opinion, and he'd mumble like, number 6.
Even though he'd have 3 wins on the card later that afternoon. David, we're 2 weeks away from the Kentucky Derby, and of course, all eyes are going to be on Journalism, who won the Santa Anita Derby and likely is going to be the post-time favorite. You're good friends with Michael McCarthy. Let's talk about Journalism for a minute. What did you think of his performance in the Santa Anita Derby? He did have trouble on the backside and still was able to emerge victorious. And also, what do you think his chances are in the Kentucky Derby?
I think when I talked to Mike, and he was always high on this horse, I think a 1.25 miles will be absolutely no problem for that horse. Plus, he's got the right style for the Derby. He overcame trouble here. He has enough contending speed where he's not going to get caught up in a speed duel, where he's not going to be 100 lengths back, where he's got to weave through a million horses. He's got the right temperament. He's shown that he can take adversity, eat dirt, and finish, and he did that against a pretty decent horse of Bob's the other day. So I think he's really the real deal this year.
And don't forget John Sheriff's horse, Baeza, who he actually passed in the lane. Baeza is a May foal. That was just his debut in a stakes race, and I thought he actually ran pretty well considering the fractions, the ground lost, and the gallop out even after they passed the finish line.
That horse is getting better every start. I think Michael's horse is getting better every start too. And really, when you look at it at the end, Michael, when he went by Baeza, it looked like he still had a little gas in the tank there where, he didn't get set down. So I'm rooting for him. He's got a good horse, and I think he's going to be able to do it this year.
And without knowing what the connections actually knew going into the race, I can't believe that Journalism was 100% cranked up for the Santa Anita Derby, right? They knew that they had a starter in the starting gate. Granted, he did win, but I'm not convinced that he was 100%.
No, like I said, the way I saw him finish and the way it looked like at the end, it looked like for sure he had definitely gas in the tank. And I know Mike, he never leaves everything on the track in the morning. He just kind of he reminds me of Charlie in a lot of ways. He trains horses to route. And, that's not an easy thing to do.
He's quiet. He's reserved. He's got a poker face. And obviously,
he's a great horseman. He's a great horseman. He's a great. I think he learned a lot from Todd back east. And, he's kind of taken that, his knowledge to his own barn here. And I think he's done really, really well.
Do you follow the other 3-year-olds around the country? I mean, are there any ones that maybe stand out in your mind?
I watched the Florida Derby. I mean, I thought that horse was impressive. Again, I think when you have horses that kind of come from a little bit further back, and in the old days, the Florida horses were nowhere near the California horses, and there's always, it was usually out here that was always the favorite. But certainly, I think that horse has talent, and I think he's going to have to be reckoned with as well.
David, you did the work. We're not going to quite yet look at the card, but before we do, what do you think of today's card? It's kind of a mixed bag, right? In other words, we kick off with an $8,000 maiden claimer, and then we've got a stakes race later on.
It's going to be it'll be feast or famine today. I mean, I'm like I said, I don't bring a chalkboard here to everybody. That if you're listening, I try to have a little bit of ingenuity and a little bit of a upside to horses that I could kind of project. So I'm just kind of hoping that we can figure out something.
I've got a sneak peek at your selections, and I can tell you that you're not picking many chalk horses. But at the end of the day, you're going to go broke betting chalk, right? I mean, let's face it. If you want to feel good about yourself and have an ego that you pick winners. People can pick their own losers. Like I say, people pick their own losers. I'm trying to make them a little bit more cheerful when they go down. At least they're going down on a longer shot. When you try to be creative, David, what do you do? In other words, do you kind of take a look at what the trainer has done in the past? Are you looking for changes to a horse like sprint to route, blinkers on, blinkers off? Are you looking at the pace scenario? Are you watching race replays? A little bit of all of the
It's all about pace for me. I learned a lot from my friend in Las Vegas, Richie. Race strengths and levels. It's the most important thing, I think, when you handicap and
let me stop you there. Like a maiden special weight race or even a maiden 32, they're not all the same.
No,
there are some that are strong and there are some that are weak. And if you just look in the racing form and not know the difference between those, that's what you mean by race levels.
Well, and like a lot of people, they laugh at the numbers and all the rest of it. Sometimes they're good and sometimes they're not. I think for the most part, when you see a horse that a horse that kind of a maiden special weight that's running anywhere underneath 13 or 14, that's always a great starting point. And those horses usually go forward. They usually go forward. And then, sometimes those cheaper horses get better and go up. And so, I just pay attention to levels and pace.
Now, Ragozins don't take into account the actual pace itself. It's just a final number. Do you do anything mathematically from a pace standpoint, or do you just visualize it in your mind?
I just kind of look to see if they've lost ground. I look to see if there was a duel up front, whether or not horses were kind of hit by the deck because, they're like three of them, or where it doesn't really show on the form, where constant other 3 or 4 horses are pressuring each other up there, and they're just kind of the winner's locking back there. So I just kind of pay attention mostly to pace.
The morning lines might not be as sharp as they used to be. So you've done all the work, and let's say you like a 10-1 shot, and suddenly come post time, whether it's the fault of the morning line odds maker or maybe the CAWs, the horse is going in the gate at 7-2. Like, what do you do in that scenario?
Like yesterday, I'll give you an example. Like I bet on that horse Nauvoo yesterday. He was 11-1 when they're absolutely locking him up. They were locking him up in the gate, and then before they hit the first turn, he was 5-1.
Correct.
And I honestly believe that a lot of guys that are like, they talk about the CAWs. I don't know who they are. I know they have a lot of money. I mean, if they're able to just be able to see that gate pop open and they can get that money down, I think that's what they do.
The analogy I use, David, is that if you and I were flipping a coin, and I flip the coin and I start out telling you, okay, the odds are 50-50, you would accept that wager. But as the coin's tumbling in the air and coming back down to the ground, I say, no,
Mm-hmm.
it's 80-20.
Right.
You would never make that bet. And that's the concern that horse players have.
Well, and they're just flooding the absolute pools with just giant money, and little guys like they're just regular horse play, they can't overcome it.
We're trying to make some giant money with our seminar guest, David Nance, today. We're going to find out who he likes on today's 10-race card. But before we do any of that, let's introduce Frank Miramati to the discussion and find out who the early changes are. We'll be right back.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Santa Anita Park, the great race place. The track is fast, the turf is firm. Here are the early changes. In the first, start of the early pick 5, number 3, You Better Be the One, 1 pound over, and 6, Charm Dream, 1 pound overweight. Race 2, scratch 5, Bolt Supremacy. Scratch number 7, Maximus. The third, number 6, Cornhusker Chris, 1 pound over. Turning to the fourth race, start of the middle pick 4. Just a blinker note. The fifth starts to $2 pick 6. Once again, just a blinker note. In the sixth, number 8, Makutu, 3 pounds over. Late pick 5 and all turf pick 3 begin with race 6. The seventh is the Santa Maria. Scratch number 3, Son of Hill. Race 7, takeout number 3. In the 8th, scratch 4, King Apollo. Late pick 3 starts. In the 9th, scratch 1, Be Punctual. And in the 10th, scratch 5, Sensational Dream. Scratch 6, Sweet Gem. 5 and 6 are out. 9, Robin with a Y. 2 pounds over. Nikki, pick 6, wanted to know when the pick 6 starts today. It starts with race 5. The pick 6 on races 5 through 10. The Coast to Coast pick 5 starts with the 9th at Gulfstream, offering a low 15% takeout. Another enormous payoff yesterday. It's offered every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Back to Quigley's Corner we go. Tom's special guest today is David Nance.
Welcome back. We're talking horse with veteran horse player David Nance. If you've been out in Santa Anita within the last 3 to 4 decades, you've seen him here on a regular basis. How are the Musketeer bands? You know, Paul Aguirre.
You'll see us all right down
Iggy
in the corner. I
Puglisi.
think Quig's Corner every time,
Right?
every race almost.
But we don't see Eric Roth every day, your good buddy, but you celebrated his
Eric,
birthday.
I have to get. Yeah, we were out. I was in Montana a couple weeks
Not a
ago.
bad
We did
spot.
some fishing. It was great. You know, hopefully he's watching today. He's in Montana again. Hi, Eric, if you're watching. Yeah, he's doing great. I mean, 80 years old and going strong.
Has he taken any Dodger games yet? Does he still have those?
He went the
tickets?
other day. No, he doesn't
He
have
didn't
those
get the
tickets
invite?
anymore. No, unfortunately, I'm on my own. But
Farther down on the list.
I'm on my own.
Well, let's see if we can make some money and afford those Dodger tickets, David. Kicking things off in race number 1, which begins the popular 50-cent early pick 5. We're sprinting 6 furlongs on the main track, and as you heard me mention, this is a restricted maiden claiming race for $8,000 claimers. We've got a field of 9. The prohibitive favorite at 3 to 5 on the tote board right now is from the Steve Miani barn. Number 8, Betty Pack, certainly taking a drop down in class, but like you just said a little bit earlier, David, the horse never really makes up any ground in the lane. Always seems to be going in reverse when it counts.
I mean, at 2 to 5, listen, the horse can certainly win. It's a super contentious race. You know, I think at 2 to 5, I mean, I'm looking somewhere else. I mean, he made an easy lead the other day. I mean, I know it's 50 down to 8, but there's a lot of other 50s and maiden special weights dropping in here. He just made an easy lead the other day and fell apart. I mean, he loses Maldo, goes to Cardona. He's got the box. There's other speeds. I'm going to try to beat him.
Who do you like?
I'm going to Broke the Code.
Number 4.
Yeah, his first race when he on the dirt there, he broke like 5 slow. And it doesn't really show it there. He rushed up and he got stopped when he got rushed up. He probably lost another length and a half, fell back and flattened out. He's coming out of maiden special weights. I think he's got a lot more speed than he does. So, you know, I'm going to try to get him home. If he breaks today, I think he can outrun all the speeds in here. My second choice is Charmed Dream. He is a 3-year-old. You know, I try to stay away from 3-year-olds against older horses in here, but you know, he's got the right style. The other day he just kind of laid in there and he kind of went backwards, but you know, I had to pick somebody second and I ended up using him second.
4 and 6 in race number 1. Just one additional comment on Dave's top selection. Number 4, Broke the Code. You can see she lost to Lovely Idaho. Lovely Idaho came back to win her next subsequent start for owner Dylan Donnelly and trainer Mike Pipey. Let's turn the page, David, and take a look at race number 2. Begins the 50-cent early pick 4. We're sprinting 6 furlongs on the turf course. $32,000 claimers, non-winners of 2 races lifetime. The rails today on the turf course are set at 0. There are 2 scratches. Scratch the 5 and the 7 leaves us with a field of 5. Likely post-time favorite is now going to be number 3, Broadway Unions from the Adam Kitchenman barn. Only 5 ways you can go here, David. Which way are you going and why?
Well, you know, with the scratch with Maximus out, it really helps the horse that I like, which is Osage Creek. If you go back to his October 19th race where he ran really, really good against Caribbean Queen and Crazy Cavalier, would be 1 and 9 in here. He ran really, really good. Then they routed him, put him on dirt. Now he's back to turf. It looks like he's going to clear. Bruckner does have a little speed inside. Probably the only other horse that can probably put any pressure on him early. Zumbo Mumbo, he is a Munnings. He showed some speed going 7/8 the other day, but 23:45.4 doesn't really count to where I think Osage Creek can show coming out of the inside there. So I end up making the race 2/1. Osage Creek.
That race you mentioned for Osage Creek back on October 19th, that race actually produced 3 next out winners. That particular afternoon, he was also a first-time gelding, was Osage Creek. And like you said, now it looks like he gets back to doing what he wants to do, which is sprinting. A question for you, David. Adrian Escobedo is in the saddle. Of course, he and Ryan Hansen have had a lot of success, both here and across town at night at Los Alamitos. How important is the jockey to you? Do you take that into account?
I do. And this kid, I like him. I mean, because he does let the horse have his head. I mean, he won't fight him. He lets him just kind of run out of there, and he doesn't take a hold. And I don't have a problem with him at all. I think he's learning. He's getting better. And, like I said, he looks like he's the inside speed. And, obviously I would rather probably, if I had my, have Rispoli or JJ on him or someone like that. But this kid is fine.
Race number 3, we're going 1 mile on the main track for maiden special weights. We've got a field of 6. Take note of 2 first-time geldings, number 3, Fausto, as well as number 5, Zabo, the Maury line favorite, the first-time starter, the 3-year-old tackling some older horses from the Bob Baffert barn, number 1, Nevada Beach. They only paid $260,000 for the son of Omaha Beach. What say you about race 3, David?
You always got to deal with anything Bob puts on the racetrack. The workout sheets say that he's okay, not great. I mean, he has some ability that, so I ended up picking him second. Nation is the horse that'll probably be overbet in here. He ran good the other day, but for me, I think he's going to bounce today. You lose Pratt, you get Carmona in that spot. Rank and Zabo, Zabo, unfortunately, it's, looks like a Hindenburg for Zidane. I mean, unfortunately,
he can afford it.
Doesn't look like he can run too well. Cornhusker Chris, not crazy about. Rank. I've kind of had enough of him. He's a 3-year-old. Doug doesn't know dirt, turf. So, they're just kind of looking for a spot for him. I ended up going with Fausto. His first race, his sprint was very, very good. He broke about 3 slow in there. He caught all the dirt. He made a really, really nice move to get into contention. Finished okay, galloped out okay. Now he's fresh on the stretch out. Masteries haven't been that great, but I'm going to just take a shot at 15-1 with Fausto.
It's interesting, David. Fausto, the only time he's run on dirt was that debut effort that you just spoke about. And the winter parenting, we talked about different levels of maiden special weights. Parenting came back to win the Affirm Stakes, another Bob Baffert runner. So that was a strong race that Fausto ran. And in that sprint race, which was only 5.5, you look at the running line, certainly looks like he wants 2 turns, which is exactly what his trainer John Sheriff did, albeit on turf. Now he gets back on the main track, first time gelding, like you said, big price. Tried beat the favorite in race number 3. Let's take a look at race number 4. On today's 10-race card, Sanity does offer a 50-cent middle pick 4, and we kick off that wager, sprinting 6 furlongs in the turf course for Calbred maiden special weights. We've got a field of 7. The Maury line favorite, number 6, Miss Joe's Curlin at 6-5. Juan Hernandez had 4 winners yesterday. He's going to have a winner in race 4 here, David.
Super contentious race again. He's a reversed bounce today. His first race, he dueled the whole way, ran okay, just got tired late. Then he came back. He had a little trouble in the lane, but Juan, once he got out and Juan was kind of hammering on him, and he really didn't finish the way I liked. I picked him second. Certainly he's going to probably be okay if he gets an easy lead in here. Sir Tom has a little bit of gas coming off that route. He showed speed, sprinting his second race down. Big Notion broke too slow out of his 2-year when he those were 2-year-olds for Steve Maiotti. He pulled down the backside. If he breaks today, he might show a little bit of gas. I'm going with Titanic Thomas. He's a grazing out of a Stormy Atlantic mare. They thought enough of him to put him in the stakes the other day, which I always take notice of because Steve Maiotti's not, he's a very good trainer. He understands where horses belong, and you just don't want to take a horse and just rip his heart out, put him in against winners. I love the fact that he's a grazing going to turf. Freshew goes there. He gets Lasix today. I'm going to take a shot with him, Tom.
It's interesting, David. You talked about the Morning Line favorite, number 6, Miss Joe's Curlin. I watched that replay as well, and I thought that the trouble was a bit overstated. Mm-hmm. The winner actually came from dead last and was 38-1 on the tote board. Right. So at 6-5, I'm willing to try and beat Miss Joe's Curlin to kick off the 50-cent middle pick 4. Race number 5 begins the $2 pick 6. Did you see the results of yesterday's pick 6? If you didn't, and I'll summarize them for you. The payout was $3,500. There were 4 easy winners. Remember that Bob Baffert horse kicking off?
Yes.
Toughness paid $260. The next race winner paid $7. Next race winner after that paid $4.20. There were 2 tough horses. The hot dog lady, by the way, was alive after those first 3 legs.
I hope she hit it.
I'm not sure. $15, $40, and $26. Then, of course, the Saddler, first-time starter in the last race, paid $540. Basically, 2 tough horses paid $3,500. We've talked time and time again. The $2 pick 6 is the wager you want to play if you want to make a good score. Looks like today's sequence is competitive as well. But we kick off today's pick 6, sprinting 6.5 furlongs in the main track for fillies and mares in for a $20,000 claiming tag. Non-winners of 3 races lifetime on the rail. Isabel Ludlow adding blinkers for trainer Mark Ladd as the 9-5 morning line favorite. What say you about race 5,
Again,
David?
super contentious race. Just a lot of horses that kind of beat each other all the time when they run. You have horses putting blinkers on in here and droppers and all the rest of it. I'm taking a shot with Toulouse-Lautrec today. I know George has been struggling some, and I'm hoping that he gets off the schneid today with this horse. He's kind of an in and out horse. I know he's going to clear in here. So, when you go back to his $16,000, he just tow roped that field. Shop till you drop came out of there and won out of there. And then the next time they stretch him out to 6.5, which he's going today, the extra half run certainly won't help him. But he's the kind of horse that when he gets on an easy lead, and sometimes he can just get brave. And at 10-1, and I think he'll overlay in there. I ended up picking him over Cheeky Gal. His second race down against Big Celebration was really good. He was buried down on the inside, struggled, tried to got it. When he finally got out, he battled to the wire. He ran really, really good in there. And then they put him on turf the other day, which he probably doesn't want to do. And he's back to dirt. I made him my second choice. I'm going to just take a shot with Toulouse-Lautrec over Cheeky Gal.
4 and 2, so says our seminar guest David Nance. You take note of, if you're looking at the past performances of Toulouse-Lautrec, her 2 career wins both happened right here over the St. Anita main track. The surface she'll be running over today. Let's turn the page, take a look at race number 6. Begins both the 50-cent late pick 5 as well as the $3 all-turf pick 3 with a reduced 15% takeout. And we kick off both wagers in race 6, sprinting 6.5 furlongs on the flat turf course. This is a maiden claiming race for $50,000 claimers. A good field of 8. Morning line favorite number 6, the Old 9 from the John Sadler barn. 7-5 on the morning line. Umberto Rispoli in the saddle. This is one of the favorites you do like, David.
Yeah, I picked him today. He ran pretty even the other day. I don't think we really got after him late. Gazin just kind of tow roped that field that day, and he was sitting in second and knew that he couldn't catch him. I don't think he really overused him. I thought, he gets off the inside, goes to the outside. He'll get a better trip today. Again, it's a super contentious field. He is a 4-year-old, which I like. Crazy Cavalier coming out of the same race. I don't know if Freshie was trying as hard as he maybe should have, but he ran just even. But Old 9 just kind of was better than him. The other horses are 3-year-olds, big ribeyes and reds. He's coming off of a long, one race and then lay off a year, another race, and now he's off another long time. Going viral, I thought, coming out of those maiden special weights could be okay because he has contentious speed. But honestly, I didn't like the way he finished, and he is a 3-year-old, so I ended up going 6 over 2 in there, Tom.
Race number 7 is our feature race on today's card. It's the Grade 2 Santa Maria Stakes for fillies and mares, going a mile and a 16th on the main track. It also begins the 50-cent late pick 4. 1 scratch in race 7. Take out the 3, Son of Hill. Leaves us with a field of 5. The morning line favorite down on the rail, the very talented 5-year-old mare Ricci from the Bob Baffert barn, 6-5 on the morning line. Before we get your thoughts on the race, David, I want to watch the replay of the Beholder Mile that Ricci competed in. There's a couple of reasons why I want you to watch this replay. She's going to break from the rail and set the pace, but not only does she set the pace, she sets very strong fractions: 22 and 2, 46 and 1, 109 and 3. To give you an idea, the final time of this race, 134.96. That was the second fastest dirt mile at Santa Anita, any division, the last 5 years. They were rolling along over this deep surface. They finished up, as I said, in under 135. So let's watch the replay of the Grade 1 Beholder Mile. Listen to Frank Miramaya describe the action and watch Ricci breaking from post position number 1.
And they're off in the B. Wayne Hughes Beholder Mile. A very even start. Ricci out alertly. So was Tarifa and Cavalieri in between those two. Alpha Bella is in the mix. Ultimate Authority is only 3 lengths off the lead. And Hoosier Philly inches up on the inside now to take the 4th spot. It will be Ricci to set the tempo at the 6 furlong pole over her stablemate Cavalieri, who's 3/4 back second. Tarifa in the blue silks third. Hoosier Philly under a nice hold at the rail 4th, 3 lengths off the pace. She's followed by Ultimate Authority and Alpha Bella. It's a very compact field. 4 lengths covers them. Antonio Fresu and Ricci past the 5/8 pole in control. Widening now. Almost 2 lengths to Cavalieri in second. They are followed by Ultimate Authority, who's a joint third. And outside of her is Tarifa. Down at the rail, Hoosier Philly, and Alpha Bella gets a cue, trying to pick it up from behind. 3 furlongs out, Ricci to catch, doing it sweetly so far. 2 lengths clear of Cavalieri, who's set down now and trying to get after her. These two have been 1-2 almost every step of the way, with Hoosier Philly at the rail in third. Tarifa under pressure, losing a bit of ground in fourth. Then comes Ultimate Authority and Alpha Bella. They turn for home, and Ricci is asked to finish the job. Has a 2-length lead with a furlong left to go. Cavalieri is trying hard to close the gap and is getting to Ricci now. Ricci, Cavalieri. Ricci and Cavalieri head and head. Cavalieri on the outside and Ricci. Cavalieri gets her, and Cavalieri, with an unblemished 4-for-4 record, wins the B. Wayne Hughes Beholder Mile. Ricci was game, but second best a long way back to Tarifa.
David, Bob Baffert ran 1-2 in the Beholder Mile. That could be a duplicate performance here in the Santa Maria, today's race 7, because not only does he train Ricci, but he also trains the stretch-out filly, Splendora. How'd you see the Santa Maria?
I mean, Ricci's just solid as a rock in here. Like you said, they ran so great the other day. Beat the field by 5. He's got the inside box again going a mile, which my friend Woody always says is the greatest post to have when you're a speed horse. You can get to that first turn first. And Splendora does have speed stretching out. I doubt that they'll go head and head. I know that usually, as a rule, Baffert always rides JJ on the better one, but I'm not so sure here. I think Ricci is absolutely the horse to be, and I picked 1 over 2.
Race number 8 is a very competitive race coming down the Hillside Turf Course. Non-winners of one other than. It's an allowance optional claiming race. Race 8, also begins the $3 late pick 3 with a reduced 15% takeout. Scratch the 4, King Apollo. Still leaves us with a good field of 11. Take note, number 11, Navy Jack, is a first-time gelding. The morning line favorite down on the rail, number 1, Tiger Hunt from the Mark Glatt barn. Before we get your thoughts on the race, David, I wanted to show a workout courtesy of our friends at firsttv.com for number 8, Miracle Mark. This is Miracle Mark and Company back on April 12th, not that long ago. And Miracle Mark, we haven't seen in the afternoon since June of 2024. You're going to see this is a bullet workout, 58-1. Miracle Mark is on the outside. The workmate is a lightly raced maiden from the Phil D'Amato barn as well. But I like Miracle Mark not only because this workout was so impressive visually, but trainer Phil D'Amato off the layoff adds blinkers, and there is pedigree in Miracle Mark's lineage. Miracle Mark is a half to Whitmore. Whitmore earned $4.5 million throughout his career. And more importantly, David, if you have the racing form in front of you, go back to Miracle Mark's work back on April 7th. It was coming down the hill in the John Shear. He finished a really good third. Take a look at who finished second right in front of him. Raging Torrent. Raging Torrent from the Doug O'Neill barn came back to win a race at Churchill Downs on Derby Day by 8 lengths. But more importantly, last week in Dubai, Raging Torrent won the Godolphin Mile for trainer Doug O'Neill. I think Miracle Mark is a massive overlay at 20-1 on the tote board. It's a good and competitive race. I know you like a price in here as well.
Well, yeah, I mean, I can't knock anybody that likes anybody in here. It is a super, super competitive race. And like you say, I mean, very rarely do you see D'Amato ever work 58. I mean, that I don't know if that horse, the work got away from him or not, but it looked like he was doing it pretty easy. You know, I don't really follow the workouts that well, but this is a very, very super competitive race. I really thought long and hard about who I was going to pick. I mean, Simplicity, super sharp, multiple winner, you know, stepping up just a little bit, but super sharp, has a box. You know, I wanted to pick him. You know, Scatify coming off of one race might end up getting the lead out there. There's a ton of speed in here. You just don't know how the race is going to be run. Kangaroo Court, reverse bounce, could be okay here, stretching out for Timmy. Tagarius, certainly a 3-year-old, which, you know, they're up a little up again, but has contending speed. I ended up going with Tom Seaver here. He is a reverse bounce. He gets off the rail. He's got the 3 box. He goes back, and Freshew stays there. He chased Schwarzmeyer the whole way around the racetrack the other day, who was the absolute only speed. Now they're going down the hill. I just think with all the speed in this race that could possibly set up, again, pace makes the race. We don't know how they're going to ride, but I think he's going to sit in the pocket. Like I said, he's a reverse bounce. I thought he ran very, very, very well. He was geared down for that third the other day. Tiger Horn comes out of probably by absolutely the best race. He comes out at 80,000 non-winners twice. He's sometimes I think this horse might be more of a flat horse, but certainly his race down the hill where he with Dettori when he got beat ahead to Legislator certainly fits here. And Mark Latt does nothing wrong, so I ended up picking 3 over 1.
Tiger Hunt won this condition back in July of 2024. That's why he's in for the $50,000 tag, as David mentioned, taking a drop down in class. Again, to give you an idea how competitive race 8 is, take a look at number 10, Simplexity from the Dan Blacker barn. He's turned into a Tiger ever since they took the blinkers off 3 races back. He's now on a 3-race win streak. Short, long on the turf, doesn't matter, improving by our speed figure. Really good competitive race number 8 to kick off the $3 late pick 3. Let's take a look at race number 9, another competitive field going 1 mile on the main track for Calbred allowance optional claiming types. Non-winners of one other than. It begins the $5 late daily double with a 15% takeout. Scratch the 1, be punctual, leaves us with a field of 7. Number 5, Little Richard's Bellow is the 5-2 morning line favorite from the Peter Urton barn. Once again, David, before we get your thoughts on the race, let's watch a replay this time. This would be a replay for Little Richard's Bellow comeback race back on March 14th. We're going to watch him break from post position number 2. Also in this race are Kerry Gold, who's going to wind up finishing 3rd, as well as Speed Grazy. But the runner I want you to pay attention to, particularly coming down the lane, who had all sorts of trouble in my opinion, is number 5, Little Richard's Bellow in today's race. But in the replay we're about to watch breaks from post position number 2. Let's listen to Frank Miramaya describe the action back on March 14th.
And they're off. Speed Grazy, here's Little Richard's Bellow, and Kerry Gold is quicker than all, and Kerry Gold up to take the lead. Little Richard's Bellow in second, past the baton, comes away in third, and the gray now moves up to take second. Clouseau is down at the rail. Speed Grazy, 5 lengths off the lead. Mitzi's Express, 3 deep. Even wider is Fowler Blue, has 5 lengths to make up, and 2 in front of Final Storm, who was not quick out of the gate. They move on to the backstretch, and it's Kerry Gold, the leader. Past the 6 furlong pole, past the baton, 3/4 of a length back second. Fowler Blue takes third. Mitzi's Express. Little Richard's Bellow. They're followed by Speed Grazy, who's 5 lengths off the lead. Final Storm out of last, and Clouseau is the trailer. Fowler Blue, aggressive to the half-mile pole, takes the lead and opens up 2. Kerry Gold in second. Then it's past the baton in third. Mitzi's Express in striking range. 3 off them. Little Richard's Bellow at the rail. Speed Grazy in between those 2. Then comes Final Storm, who's second to last, and Clouseau ridden along at the back. It's Fowler Blue midway on the far turn, been there most of the way, still leads a length and a half. Past the baton in second. Mitzi's Express roused up in third. Extreme outside, Final Storm is trying to mount a bid as they reach the top of the stretch, and Kerry Gold's not done. Little Richard's Bellows in very tight, having to steady sharply, and he was very unlucky at that stage. In the meantime, Fowler Blue keeps on going. 3-length lead with a 16th to go, and still running strongly. Fowler Blue, an upset W, scores by over 3. Mitzi's Express, Kerry Gold, and Little Richard's Bellow battling it out for second, third, and fourth.
There's our friend Little Richard's Bellow galloping out along the rail in the rose and blue and black silks. Certainly had trouble, but again, as we continue going through this card, David, I talked about the pick 6 yesterday, paying $3,500 with a bunch of chalk. This is a tough sequence. Whether you're playing the pick 6, the pick 5, there's no layups in this race either.
It's super competitive again. I mean, honestly, anybody that likes a horse in here, I can't say no on them. Really, Kerry's Gold has been competitive, has a chance. Mr. Disrespectful, I think he'll be overbet. That race is a lot more unimpressive than it looks on paper, but certainly sharp, and Barrio stays there. It was a 4-horse field the other day, and he just kind of made an easy lead, which I don't think he'll get today. So he dirts out of the shot. I ended up coming down to keep moving on, only from a standpoint that he gets Antonio Frasciu today. He comes out of that 25 open race back to Calbred non-winners. I think those horses are better, stretching out again today. I ended up coming down to him. Mark Latta, like I said, the guy does nothing wrong. He's only had the horse for 1 race, and hopefully he'll be able to work his magic. I took the 8 horse as my second choice here. Is a good long shot in here. He gets away from Miller, who's been, and Peter's a great trainer, but he's been struggling lately, and his horses haven't been doing that well. And he claims them off of Pete. When you go back to his races, now maybe it was the Mark Latta magic, and where you go back back in last year around September and October. But certainly if Aggie finds the key to him again, he has races that would absolutely destroy this race. So I picked it 4/8, Tom.
Fair enough, David. We close out today's Saturday's card in race number 10, offering $1 super high five wagering. And we're sprinting 6 furlongs of the turf course for maiden special weights, 3 and 4-year-olds. There are 2 scratches. Scratch the 5, Sensational Dream, and number 6, Sweet Gem. That still leaves us with a field of 9. Number 2, Prestige Fung Sun from the Peter Barn, the second-time starter adding Lasix, is the 3-1 morning line favorite. A number of runners in this field exit the same race. We're going to watch a replay of this race in just one moment. It's the March 15th race, and the runners that are exiting this race include the morning line favorite, number 2, Prestige Function, as well as number 3, Storm Lady, number 4, Venalia, and number 9, Robin with the Y. The one I want you to pay the most attention to, and there's a lot of action going on in this replay, so I'd encourage you to watch it multiple times, is how number 2, Prestige Function, performs. In her debut in the replay we're about to watch, she breaks from post position number 9. You're going to see she drops back. She's going to be easy to spot coming out of the gate. So take notice of all the action happening in this race, particularly with Venalia, who actually had the lead mid-stretch and then coughed it up. Not a bad performance in her debut as well. So let's rewind the tape, go back to the 10th race on March 15th, listen to Frank Miramaya describe the action, and pay attention to the runner breaking from post position number 9.
Coming forward, misleading to the outside. In the gate, and they're off. And Tressa began beautifully. Frog has early speed. So does Robin with a Y right in the mix, along with Abazami and Storm Lady coming through, 5 across the course. Pamentina is next. Venalia settles mid-pack, 5 lengths off the lead. She's followed by Cat the Confidant. Isn't she loverly, pushed along in the early stages? Prestige Fung Sun now going by that rival. Another 2.5 to Illuminous and Misleading. They move into the far turn, and the leader is Abazami. It's a very narrow edge rounding that turn. Down at the rails, Storm Lady is trying to keep close, along with Frog, and Tressa makes a 4-wide bid. Just in behind them, here's Venalia revving up on the extreme outside in the blue. Robin with a Y is just inside of her. They fan across the course with a furlong left to go with many chances, including from the back of the field, Misleading, who's starting to come fast. It is Venalia who takes the lead. Misleading on the outside with a stellar bid. Cat the Confidant is on the inside. Cat the Confidant or Misleading. Misleading from last to first mows them down under Hector Berrios. It was a battle for second between Cat the Confidant and Prestige Fung Sun was in there.
David, that was the last race on March 15th. This is the last race today. What a grab bag that race was. And you know what? Looking on paper for race 10, this looks like a grab bag as well.
Pick 3, pick 4, pick 5 double players. You can't have enough horses in this race. This is definitely the most competitive race on the form. I mean, there are so many ways you can go here. Like you said, Prestige Function and Venalia both had tremendous trouble. One broke 3 slow, one broke 2 slow. Everybody saw the trouble they had and ran super today, and they both get Lasix. I mean, Prestige's Function catch Lasix today. He's down on the inside. Like I said, I could have picked a number of horses. I ended up going with Favor to You. His first race on that good racetrack against Jungle Peace, I thought he ran really, really well in there. He had a little bit of trouble in down the backside. Looked like First was absolutely trying to measure him late, and I thought he ran super. And then they stretched him out, and he kind of flattened out. Takes the blinkers back off today. Robin with a Y, his first race was awesome. You know, Carmona dueled the whole way. They ran 8 and 2. He never stopped running. He was in tight into the turn the other day, you know, and kind of got knocked sideways, turning from out of the same race as the 2 and 4 come out. So, you know, I ended up saying 7/9 in there, Tom.
Before we let you go, you heard track announcer Frank Miramati talk about the results for the Coast to Coast Pick 5 yesterday. Do you remember what it paid? It was one winning ticket in excess of $40,000. And today's Coast to Coast Pick 5 begins with Gulfstream Park's race number 9, as you can see right now on the graphic. It's a $1 minimum, a low 15% takeout. Make sure you get involved. Who knows? You might be the only winning ticket today and take home in excess of $40,000. Also, one other housekeeping note, Easter racing tomorrow on Sunday, 10 races beginning early, 12 noon. I know Dave David Nance will be here just like he was today. David, thanks so much.
After I go to church.
Thanks so much for your time and insight. Say a prayer for me if you want, my
You
friend.
got it, buddy.
Thanks to everybody for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a great afternoon, everybody, and good luck.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for our national anthem. Good afternoon and welcome to Santa Anita Park. Track conditions brought to you by John Deere, the main track fast, the turf rated as firm. Here are the changes. Race 1 starts the early pick 5. Number 3, You Better Be the One, 1 pound over, and 6 Charm Dream, 1 pound over. Race 2, scratch 5, Bolt Supremacy, scratch 7, Maximus. In the third, number 6, Cornhusker Chris will carry 1 pound over. In the fourth race, we offer middle pick 4 wagering. The fifth starts the pick 6 on races 5 through 10. Race 6, number 8, Makutu, 3 pounds over. The seventh is the Santa Maria Stakes, grade 2 event, scratch 3, Son of Hill. In the eighth, scratch number 4, King Apollo. Race 9, scratch 1, Be Punctual. And in the 10th, with super high 5 wagering, scratch 5, Sensational Dream. Scratch 6, Sweet Gem. Note 9, Robin with a Y, 2 pounds over. Coast to Coast Pick 5 wagering is offered every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Today it starts with Gulfstream's 9th. Enjoy your day at the Great Race Place. 26 minutes to post for race 1.
Be a smarter better with First TV, the best horses. With thousands of exclusive morning workouts. All at your fingertips and delivered right into your inbox. Everything you need to be informed. Be smart. Bet smart. With First TV.
14 minutes to post for the opener, day 2 of the Hollywood meet here at Santa Anita. On behalf of everyone here at First Racing, we welcome you to a Saturday. Hi, everybody. Peter Lurie alongside Jess Pfeiffer and, of course, Miss Michelle Yu. Ladies, we've got ourselves a really nice 10-race card, and if that wasn't enough,